temperatures are quickly dropping and it's just going to get even colder out here. So how do you make sure animals stay safe and warm this holiday season? Today I'm joined by Catherine Garrett from All About Animals, and she's going to give us some tips on how to make sure that animals can stay safe and warm.
Yes, one thing that people don't really think about are the outdoor cats.
Right.
And that's something to be concerned about, because when you've come home, your engine is nice and warm, and those kitty cats that don't have homes that are outside are seeking warmth.
So they're going to crawl right up in it.
That is one of the biggest places that they find. And you may not see them, and nobody thinks to lift their hood. So the simple things that you can do in the morning is honk your horn.
Right.
Or bang on the top of the roof like that to scare any sort of little kitty critter away, and then get in your car. It can be disastrous otherwise for these cats. And the other thing that people can do when they have outdoor cats that are there, one thing is get them fixed. All About Animals Rescue has a trap, neuter, return program where you can get them fixed at a very low price, so they're not having even more kittens that are living outside. And the other thing that you can do is provide them some shelter, and there are easy ways to do that, even with simple coolers that you can get sometimes at the grocery store or one of the bigger stores, and put those coolers together with a little door and make sure that you've got plenty of straw in there as well for them.
And straw, as opposed to maybe a blanket can freeze, but straw is likely to keep the animal warm. Correct?
You never want to put anything except for straw inside of shelters for dog houses or for kitty cat shelters, because anything else can retain moisture and then end up freezing, and then that's very dangerous for the animal. So you think you're keeping it warm, you're actually making it a lot worse for them. But straw does not hold on to the moisture. Now what you will want to do with straw is be careful to periodically replace it, because the animals are going out in the snow, sometimes even in the rain, getting back inside and then getting that shelter, that straw wet inside. You really need to replace it. So keep extra on hand. But people need to think about, if it's too cold for you, it's too cold for the pet. And people think that they magically, because they have hair all over their body, are going to be kept warmer. And that's just not the case. There are some dog breeds that do well outside, but that's when they've been outside the whole time. They're already acclimated to it. You can't take a pet from the indoors and stick it outside and think because it has some hair it's going to be okay. It's just not the case. They're just as prone to hypothermia and also frostbite as we are. So the tips that you can use to keep your own personal pets safe: when you're going outside, if it's 5 degrees below, or I'm sorry, 5 degrees or below that, you really don't want to take your pets outside except for to go potty. They really have no other business being out there. Right. When you're walking them, you want to periodically check their little paws. If they start holding their paws up or whining, shivering, things like that, it's time to go inside, and you want to check their paws as well, because they can form ice balls in between the pads, and that's almost like walking on rocks, so it becomes very painful. If your pet's prone to that, you can also take them to the groomers, and they can trim the hair around the feet and inside the pad so that ice doesn't form. So that's one thing that you want to keep aware of. And then also, this is the time people put down de-icers and nasty stuff that's toxic to pets. So when you bring them back inside, make sure to wash their feet off and dry them really well, because otherwise they're going to be licking that stuff and ingesting it, and it's just not safe for them.
And it's also irritating to the pads of their feet as well?
Very irritating. Salt especially. Coats are actually a good idea for a lot of the dogs. If they have short-haired breeds, the long-haired breeds, you really don't have to think so much about the coats in wintertime. But for the short-haired breeds, you really do think about that. And then even the little footies that they make for dogs now. Yeah, it keeps their little feet safe. Any pet has a hard time with regulating their body temperature if they're a smush-faced breed, brachiocephalic, if they're a short-haired breed, if they're very young or very old, and if they have an illness. All of those things make it where they can't regulate their body temperature like a normal pet would. So you want to be even extra cautious with those pets when you bring them outside.
Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for these wonderful tips. And make sure you do follow these tips so that your pets stay safe and warm from the harsh elements this winter.